August 19th board meeting. Call it to order at this time. Commissioner Weatherspoon, would you kindly lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation?
Please stand. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we come to you tonight, Lord, asking your blessings on this meeting, thanking you for the many blessings you've given us as citizens and the county as a whole. Lord, be with us as we go through this meeting, and may everything that we do be pleasing in your sight. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, at this time, is there any additions or deletions to the published agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as stands?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay.
And motion has been made and seconded twice. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Secretary. All right, item number 4, the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
This time, item number 5 is a presentation. And I will turn this over to Mr. Manager to recognize some folks and
Thank you, Chairman. Tonight is a very special night. We have some guests in our audience tonight representing the Rouse family. So tonight, I'm happy to announce that the Order of the Longleaf Pine is being presented to John Rouse. So, Roy Cooper, Governor, reposing special confidence in the integrity, learning, and zeal of John L. Rouse Jr., posthumously, I do these confer the Order of the Longleaf Pine with the rank of Ambassador Extraordinary, privileged to enjoy fully all rights granted to members of this entitled order, among which is the special privilege to propose the following North Carolina toast in select company anywhere in the free world. Here's to the land of the longleaf pine, the summer land where the sun doth shine, where the weak grow strong and the strong go great. Here's to down home, the old North State. Signed, Governor Roy Cooper.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
if y'all like to get a photo.
I'm breaking things. Yeah.
Pop off.
Can you see it good? A little closer?
Fellow board members, he's going to read an essay into the record that was associated with it. Take just a few minutes.
Okay, this is my college essay. A two-story brick county building shaped me into the person I am today. My dad was a county health director, and getting to visit his office was a treat to me growing up. On the outside, this office was nothing special. It sat in the corner on the second floor of his building. There was not much to his office. It was quite cluttered, really. But as a little girl, it felt like an adventure waiting to happen. I would leave every time hand in hand with my dad with a new memory and a piece of knowledge to tuck away. As I look back on the place I spent countless days of my childhood, I can see the three distinct lessons that the Harnett County Health Department taught me. The first lesson I learned was what it felt like to have a dream. I watched the staff and nurses for years, seeing them help people and watching them display kindness to everyone they crossed paths with. I was a curious little girl, and I listened to them answer every one of my questions, no matter how small. I decided in elementary school that I wanted to have that impact on people. I was young, but I knew I wanted to help people, just as the health department staff did for me. Now, as I am preparing for college, the drive for pursuing medicine remains deep within me, thanks to that building. The second lesson I was taught was the importance of pride. It started with pride in my dad. I sat in his office as a little girl, quietly watching him work. It was obvious that I had a man full of intelligence and leadership raising me. A few years later, I watched my dad work 13-hour days as COVID-19 first started spreading. I realized that while the world was shutting down, my father was doing anything but. I got a closer look at the hard-working, persevering man who I looked up to so much. The years continued to go by, and it soon became time for me to become more than just my father's daughter in that building. I spent my high school summers volunteering and shadowing, gaining insight on new topics and independence from my dad. I began to develop a new sense of pride, an internalized type. I was able to see all of the characteristics I saw in my dad become present within me. I began to grasp that I was not just my father's daughter, but I was proud to have him in me. Once again, I owe that all to the building I spent so much of my time. The third lesson I was able to see was that I am stronger than I think. In December of 2023, I stood in that small office on the second floor, taking it all in. Boxes surrounding me, holding every piece of his personal life my dad added to that office. No more pictures hung on the wall, no more notes or drawings were plastered to the door. His awards and accomplishments were gone from his desk. His coworkers would walk by, giving words of sympathy and condolences. The memories I built in that room seemed to have vanished, replaced instead by a dark cloud of sadness and grief. After all of the boxes were moved out, and the room was bare and lifeless, I walked out of that building for the last time, but this time without my dad by my side. It hit me while I walked through the doors that while it was hard and it felt impossible, I was doing it. I was pushing through even when I thought I could not. As that newfound knowledge washed over me, I silently thanked that two-story brick county building for being a part of raising me.
Okay. At this time, for public comment, we've got a few folks signed up. Just remember, we're not going, no profanity, no public attack, personal attacks. And at this time, Mr. Johnny Adams.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Johnny Adams, 404 Executive Drive, Lillington, North Carolina. My comments are, when you have a job where you kiss your wife or husband goodbye in the morning, and it could be your last, then the least thing that the county in which you work should do everything in its power to make sure you are provided every tool to be successful and pay you enough that you are not worried about how you are going to make ends meet. Since I started coming to these meetings, there have been many times where the chairman would have to go to a closed meeting with the board to discuss a police shooting where the county was being sued. Unfortunately, we live in a time of good versus evil. I do not believe any police officer or sheriff's deputy gets up in the morning with the intent to shoot a fellow citizen. I just can't for the life of me understand why we are in the top 10 out of 100 counties in tax income from all 100 counties in North Carolina. And if these officers and deputies had body cameras and every county law enforcement vehicle had a dash cam, then I think that would cut down on these shootings. And also let the public know that if you put a law enforcement officer in a predicament where they have to shoot you, it would all be captured on camera to not only protect the law enforcement officer, but to also protect Harnett County from these lawsuits that are piling up. I also believe that our deputies should be paid like we are a county in the top 10. I believe a law enforcement officer should get the same as a new state trooper, so that our newest and brightest aren't jumping ship and going there because of pay and benefits. Would this solve all problems? No, but it would go a long way for the citizens and law enforcement knowing that there are cameras protecting both. The other issue I will again bring up are our teachers for the children that will one day be the future of Harnett County. Where do these teachers' pay rank out of 100 counties in North Carolina? I only ask because we have a shortage of teachers and a retention problem in Harnett County. Again, we are in the top 10 out of 100 counties in North Carolina. I, as a dumb hillbilly from Georgia, only know this because we have a county manager, Mr. Trout, that is transparent and places all the county's financials on the Harnett County webpage. We are a truly blessed county. I truly believe we have the best and brightest sitting in front of me on this board. Please invest in our teachers. Make a fund for every school to get the essentials that are needed to run a classroom. A teacher should not have to go on social media and beg for funds to run her classroom.
Mr. Howe.
Again, is that 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Thank you, Doug. All right. This time, Larry Mitchell.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mr. County Manager. I'm Larry Mitchell. I live 478 Century Drive, Cameron, North Carolina, District 1 voter. Tonight, it was a difficult subject to talk about. I sent an email to Ms. Capps and try to distribute it to the Commissioners. It's a lengthy email, which I know I can't do it in 3 minutes. But I'll cut it down. I'd like to thank the Development Service Department for their new code enforcement dashboard. I've been looking at this, and it's very easy to utilize, and you can get the current statuses of codes and complaints that citizens have made. Since my relocation to Harnett County, I've learned over time the diversity of the county. We have over 140,000 citizens, and the county government is organized to ensure operations and high performance. Government cannot solve everybody's problems. It takes citizens to participate in government and use all resources available to bring success. This leads me to say that over the decades, respect for one another is key. I have found when interacting with each department, respect is given and appreciated. Respect must come from citizens also. When addressing county matters, it is important that no matter one's race, religion, position on the economic ladder, respect must be one's character. It is recognized when two people come together, the outcome of dialogue is successful when respect is one's motivation. So I have to skip a little bit here. I'd like to show that the respect on most of the departments I've met, like the Sheriff's Department, the Tax Department, and so forth, have all provided respect to me, and I really appreciate that. Citizens of the county must respect the business that happens here, and we must get involved with all matters involved. three levels of pay that Johnny brought up. I think teachers, law enforcement, and the county employees need to be looked at in the fiscal year 25-26 budget. They need to have an increase in their salaries. They are leaving our county to go work elsewhere. And you heard on a business meeting that 72% leave the county to go work elsewhere. And we need to solve that in the next budget and look at the strategic plan. So in this email that I sent, I don't know if you can do it. I'd like to have it posted on the website for citizens to read. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jarvis.
Yep, good evening. I learned a few weeks ago that the civil lawsuit filed by the family of Pat and Brian Finch was settled out of court for several $1 million. There's a gag order on it, so I guess none of us will know how many millions of dollars. But I've been told by one of the county attorneys here a while back, oh, those lawsuits, that's the insurance company's money. That's not taxpayers' money. But, you know, I believe this year we paid $8 million for the liability coverage. I wonder how much it's going to be next year. That is our money. And this ding-dong deputy who runs a stoplight at 95 miles an hour, still facing 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 0 bail, still goes to work over at the sheriff's department every day wearing a badge. I mean, what the hell? Seriously? I wonder if he's one of those cops that, you know, here a few weeks ago, a lady in Illinois named Sonia Massey was murdered by a police officer. She had a problem in her home. She called the police. Apparently, she might have had some mental issue. But a cop pointed a gun at her and she said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. He said, if you do, I'll shoot you in the effing face. She put the pot of water down, put her hands up and said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. He shot her 3 times in the head right there in her own kitchen. And let me tell you something about that cop. And I wonder if we got some of those here. He's what's known as a wandering cop. In 4 years, he worked for 6 different police departments. Get in trouble at one department, just move along to the next department. He got put out of the Army for several DUIs. But anyway, I know that has nothing to do with you folks. The one thing I would like to speak about is when I received some Army training in Fort Bragg in the 70s, I grew up in Kansas, but I fell in love with the mellifluous tones of the genuine North Carolina accent. I just loved the way it sounded, loved the way country folk, simple folk spoke. And it saddens me that especially in the last 20 years, it's being rapidly replaced by the harsh guttural tones of New Jersey and New York and Boston. I had a lady a few weeks ago tell me she was from Boston. She said, I'm a masshole. Why would somebody be stupid enough to describe themselves like that? She was some kind of hole, but she didn't need to put that M in front of it. But it is sad to hear the accent being replaced. And if where they came from was so great, why didn't it stay there? Why are they trying to make here there? That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the Sand Hills Antique Farm Club annual report.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and guests. I've lost my place.
Good evening.
Okay. I'm Alvin McCartan, here representing Sand Hills Antique Farm Equipment Club. As agreed in 2008, we contracted with the county to develop a farm park within the park system and to give an annual report each August. a little information about our club. In 2000, on a Sunday afternoon in August, a small group of us got together and formed the club and named it Sand Hills Antique Farm Equipment Club. As of today, we are around 70 families and growing. In 2008, we began work on building our park known as Sand Hills Farm Park, and we are still in the developing stage. We have 2 shows a year, one in the spring, March, and another in the fall in October. These are 2-day shows. Centered around these shows, we have Ag Science Days, which features all the 5th graders in Harnett County. We do 4 shows, and that way, 4 days, and that way we can cover all the 5th graders in Harnett County. We also have the homeschoolers to go with them, around 1,200 students in those 4 days. Also, the Harnett County Sheriff's Department also uses the park for their dog training, and also we welcome the fire department for their training. As a club, we take part in surrounding counties, as well as got to be North Carolina in Raleigh, doing demonstrations for each club, and in that way we can show them the old way of doing things. We can help preserve history of rural Harnett County. We also offer summer camps for a couple of children in each school, FFA members, that's not able to go to camp otherwise. So we do that for them, and also we do a $1,000 scholarship for the qualified member of the FFA that is wanting to further their education in agribusiness or agriculture, whichever they need. As you can see, we're a very busy organization. Thanks for having us, and if we can help any of you, please let us know. And if there's any questions, you have any questions? If not, God bless you, and good night.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. All right, this time we're going to item number 8, a public hearing for a text amendment. Staff's going to come up and give us a briefing on it.
Hello there. Good evening, Commissioners. Sarah Arbor here with Harnett County Development Services, and it's a pleasure, of course, to be here before you all tonight. So we have 2 items tonight for the public hearing. The first one is a requested text amendment. This is amendment for revision for the Unified Development Ordinance, Article 3, Section 8.2.1D. This revision is being, this is an internal text amendment, so this is being proposed here by Development Services staff. So just quickly, the purpose, the text amendment will be a change to the minor subdivision 3-year rule. The purpose of this rule is to prevent successive use of the minor subdivision procedure in order to sort of intentionally circumvent the major subdivision process. This is, of course, an issue just because of the impact of the number of lots that caused by a major subdivision. It does require more review time and more improvements. So this minor subdivision 3-year rule has been a part of our ordinance for over 20 years. It was recently brought to staff's attention that the rule could be interpreted in other ways than intended. So we worked very closely with the legal department to eliminate ambiguous language and just shore up the intent so that we can continue to practice the 3-year rule sort of the same way as we always have. Some of the suggestions made by the legal department was really just sort of fleshing out some of the language in there while eliminating ambiguous language. And, so some of the changes that were made were, when it discusses the subsequent owners, just kind of fleshing out instead of saying anyone who owned, going into more detail to say a corporation, a partnership, or other entity that owns, leases, or has option on. So also staff has been working very closely with the legal department in order to respond to the comments received by the board from the work session. So at this time, we're working really hard to kind of get that language as solid as we can and correct. And we would like to ask the board to consider tabling this item after the public hearing tonight, so that we could bring you by next work session the language that was asked for.
Okay.
And staff is open for any questions. Thank you.
Questions for staff? All right, thank you, ma'am. At this time, is there anyone who would like to speak for this issue? Okay, hearing none, at this time, is there anyone like to speak against this issue? Hearing none of that either, this time we'll go out of public hearing.
Motion on the table till,
August 27th, the meeting for bringing the language back. That was what we wanted, right? August 27th?
is that gonna be a voting meeting?
Come to the work session and run it by the board, and then we'll come to the
Right.
September
Third
meeting.
for consideration.
Motion to table until September 3rd.
September 3rd.
Consideration.
Second his motion.
That motion has been made and proper second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
All right, item number 9, public hearing of proposed zoning change for Florence Wellens and Wilco Contractors of 7 acres from commercial to RA 20M zoning district in Anderson Creek, Ray Road area.
All right, thank you very much, Chairman Morris. Yes, so as you stated, this is a request to rezone a property. It will be a partial rezoning from commercial to the RA 20M. The property is located on Ray Road in Spring Lake in the Anderson Creek Township. So the property is currently split into 2 portions by the Cooper's Creek Avenue, which is a residential road for that abutting subdivision. So currently, the southern portion of the property is zoned RA 20M, and that northern portion of the property is zoned commercial. The area that is outlined in the white, shown there in the vicinity map, would be the portion of the property where they are intending to change the zoning to the RA 20M. So this site is it's a vacant land, which is, it's vacant land formerly used for a manufactured home park. The surrounding land uses do consist of single-family, multifamily residences, various commercial uses such as offices, retail stores, service establishments, and restaurants. Services available to the site include public water and public sewer. The annual average daily trips for the section of Ray Road is about 13,000, and site distances for the property are good. Next, we'll take a look at the zoning district compatibility. We'll look at the map first. As you can see, the requested rezoning is adjacent to the property there with the single-family residence to the back. When you compare the uses, of course, permitted in the commercial zoning and the RA 20M zoning, most of those are different just because it's going from commercial to residential. Next, we'll take a look at the future land use map. So this property is located within one of our mixed-use development nodes, so that would support both commercial or residential uses. So this is consistent with a comprehensive land use plan. There have been several photos of the site, which have been provided for your review. So as staff was moving through their evaluation, staff was able to answer everything in the affirmative, and staff is recommending approval based on believing that the request is reasonable and compatible with the underlying future land use. At the August 5th planning board meeting, the planning board did vote 5-0 to approve the zoning change. The planning board found that the requested zoning district would be compatible with the surrounding zoning district. We did have several residents who attended the meeting. Two of the residents were from the adjacent subdivision and they spoke. The residents asked questions and expressed concerns about the future development of the subject property as a residential subdivision. So their concerns included potential school capacity issues, stormwater runoff, a potential increase in traffic, as well as any impact on home values, depending on what kind of product was eventually built there. Okay, the staff is open for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
This zoning of this land, is it near that roundabout there? Because it looks like, to me, that's what it's, and you want to put residential housing in there? Is that what you are telling me?
Well, that is what that would be permitted if the zoning change were to be approved. They would be permitted to do. They would be permitted to have residential uses there. Yes, ma'am.
Is it zone commercial now?
Yes, ma'am. The property is mixed zoning right now, but as in here, the map's there. Thank you so much for pulling that up. And you can see the northern half of the property there where the request is. It's all zoned commercial currently. And this is a request just to, well, not just, but this is a request to change a majority of that northern section of the property and leave a small portion commercial.
Sarah,
Sorry.
would you bring the aerial photograph back up? If you look in the bigger block here, you'll see the streets where this was residential before. I don't know how it got changed, but I've served many a paper on those streets when I worked with the sheriff's office. So, I mean, it would just be simply going back to what it was. But anyhow, is there any more questions for staff? You finished, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to-
Yes, I had not.
Okay, go ahead.
I like to understand what I'm voting on. Now, you're saying this was commercial, but now you're rezoning it for residential.
Right. Yes, ma'am. So it is currently zoned commercial, and they would like to zone it to residential. However, sometime before this was zoned commercial, I believe would be the right timeline, there was a manufactured home park, which used to be located on the property. So it was at one point used for residential purposes. At some point, the zoning changed, and now they're looking to change it back to residential zoning.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
Yes, ma'am.
Any more questions for staff? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. At this
Thank
time,
you.
we're going to public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to speak for this issue? Mr. Mitchell.
My name's Larry Mitchell, 478 Century Drive in Lexington Plantation in Cameron. I travel that road frequently. That roundabout on Overhills Road that extends out is heavily traveled and backed up with school buses that go down Ray Road, and the traffic is really bad. I have mixed feelings about changing the status of that property. You can see other homes there, but need to consider what our traffic's going to do and the safety that is challenged in that area. It's heavily traveled in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Billy Wellens. I'm the developer of the property. This used to be a mobile home park in the 1980s. It bore itself out. We turned it, and Sanderson Creek began to develop into a new type of area. There are hardly no mobile home parks there now. And this is only going to be 16 lots. It was zoned when the county did the initial rezoning, probably 15 years ago or whatever. I took everything I had that I could get done to zone it commercial because I knew it would be easier to downzone property than it would be to upzone property. And as far as traffic goes, if I built all that into some type of commercial property, it'd be a lot more traffic than it would be out of 16 residential homes. So it's a perfect addition to complete what already is there at Cooper's Ranch. And I was at the planning staff meeting, And the people that were there were more, they weren't against the project. They were concerned about what I was going to put in the project. And they wanted to know if I was going to do it in the same manner as sort of which they got. So it's going to be $275,000 to $375,000 homes, and that's what's in the neighborhood now. And it's going to be a good additional tax base, and it will be a very good addition to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to speak on behalf of this project? Okay, hearing none, does anyone want to speak against it? Okay, hearing none, this time we'll come out of public hearing. Is there a motion on the floor?
I make a motion, we approve this rezoning, that we rezone it to
Is there a second?
residential.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the county manager's report.
Thank you, Chairman. One item I want to cover first is that last week I forgot to mention that the performance management report was included in your packet last month, really outlining the end of the year for us as a fiscal year and the accomplishments that we had and where we stand. We're starting a new year now as far as our performance management objectives and goals. And so we're moving along just fairly well already, only going a month and a half into it. There are other reports in your packet. Also, I need a motion to approve budget amendments and then a motion to approve tax rebates, refunds, and releases, please.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the budget amendments as requested by the finance officer.
Second? Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the tax rebates, refunds, and releases as requested by the tax administrator.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 11, new business. Discuss a request regarding the approval of an easement for Duke Energy on Magnolia Avenue.
Chairman, I'll take that one.
Thank you, sir.
Duke Energy is requesting approval of a utility easement through our property to provide service to the Magnolia School renovation project. The renovation project is in full swing. It's being done by the I-95, I-40 Crossroads of America Development Alliance for their Workforce Development Center. Remember, Harnett County committed $5 million towards this renovation project. Harnett County is leasing the building to the Alliance Group, so we will continue to own the project after the project is complete. Since that, Harnett County will maintain ownership. The easement must be approved by the Board of Commissioners. So I request your approval of the easement document. The drawings included in your packet that shows them coming off the roadway and through our property, off of Clinton Avenue and across our property.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve an easement for Duke Energy on Magnolia Avenue.
I second that.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Counselor, is there a need for a closed session?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, that's good.
Motion to
Okay.
adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to adjourn seconded and